The rain hammered down on the empty streets of New York City as I stumbled out of the bar at 2 in the morning, my head spinning from one too many drinks and the argument with Sarah that still echoed in my ears. I thought I was heading home to the life I'd built, the engagement ring in my pocket, a reminder of the future I was supposed to want. Then he appeared. A stranger stepped out from the shadows between two buildings, his tall frame cutting through the downpour, his dark hair plastered to his forehead. Before I could back away or even speak, he closed the distance in 2 strides, cupped my face with surprisingly gentle hands, and kissed me. It wasn't aggressive or demanding. It was soft, searching, as if he was trying to wake something inside me that had been sleeping for years. My body froze, but my heart raced like it had never done before. For a split second, the world narrowed to the warmth of his lips against mine, the taste of rain and something indefinably right. Then he pulled back, his blue eyes locking onto mine with a mix of regret and determination. "You don't have to keep pretending," he said, his voice low and steady over the rain. "I saw it in your eyes back there in the bar. You're not alone in this." He stepped back, turned, and vanished into the night, leaving me standing there, soaked to the bone, my mind reeling. I touched my lips, the sensation lingering like a brand. I had never been kissed by a man before, but in that moment, it felt like the most honest thing that had ever happened to me. Shaking, I continued walking home, the streets blurring through the tears mixing with the rain. Sarah's angry words from earlier replayed. "You never really look at me the way you should, Ethan. What's wrong with you?" I had laughed it off, blaming work stress, but now, with this stranger's kiss burning in my memory, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. By the time I reached my apartment in Brooklyn, the clock read 3 a.m. I stripped off my wet clothes and stood under the hot shower, but the water couldn't wash away the confusion. Who was he? Why did he do that? And why did it feel like he had seen straight through the facade I'd maintained since college? Back then, there had been that one night with my roommate, a drunken confession that I pushed away as a mistake. I had convinced myself it was nothing, dated girls, proposed to Sarah 6 months ago to please my conservative family back in Ohio. But now, the stranger's words echoed. "You're not alone." I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the city sounds fading as my mind raced. I couldn't sleep. By morning, I knew I had to find him. I returned to the same street, hoping against hope he'd be there again. The rain had stopped, leaving puddles that reflected the gray sky. I walked back and forth for hours, asking bartenders if they knew a tall guy with blue eyes who left around 2 a.m. No luck, but the memory wouldn't fade. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it again. Sarah called, worried about last night. I lied, said I was fine, but my voice cracked. "I need some space," I told her. She was hurt, but I couldn't face her. Work at the architecture firm was a blur. I sketched buildings, but my hand drew faces instead, his face. By evening, I was back at the bar, sitting in the corner, nursing a beer, hoping. And then, around 10 p.m., he walked in. Our eyes met across the room. He froze, then smiled faintly and walked over. "You came back," he said, sliding into the seat opposite me. "Name's Liam. And you are?" "Ethan," I managed. "Why did you do that?" He sighed, ordering a drink. "Because I know the look. I was you 5 years ago, engaged to a woman, denying everything. One night, a friend did the same for me. It changed my life. I saw you arguing, looking lost, and I couldn't walk away. Sorry if it was too much." His honesty hit hard. We talked for hours. He told me about his coming out, the pain, the freedom. I listened, feeling seen for the first time. When we parted, he gave me his number. "Call if you want to talk." No pressure. I walked home, heart pounding. This was the start of something I couldn't ignore. The next day dragged on at the office. My boss praised a new design, but I barely heard him. All I could think about was Liam's calm voice and the way his eyes had held mine without judgment. I stared at his number on my phone for an hour before finally texting. "Coffee tomorrow? Just to talk." His reply came fast. 10 a.m. at the little place on 7th. "See you there." That night, I barely slept again, replaying every word from the bar. Sarah texted asking when I was coming over. I replied I had a late meeting. The lie tasted bitter, but the truth felt even scarier. I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early, heart hammering, as if I were heading into a boardroom presentation instead of a simple coffee. Liam was already there, 2 cups on the table, smiling like we were old friends. Black. No sugar, right? You ordered it last night. I nodded, sliding into the chair, suddenly aware of how close our knees were under the small table. Thanks. I don't even know why I'm here. He leaned forward, elbows on the wood. Because that kiss woke something up. It's okay to be scared, Ethan. I was terrified the first time someone called me out. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about growing up in a small town in upstate New York, the church that turned its back, the parents who still sent birthday cards but never asked about his life. I found myself sharing things I had never told Sarah, the way I used to stare at the guys in the locker room in high school, the guilt that followed every glance. I thought if I just tried harder with women, it would go away, I admitted, voice cracking. Liam reached across the table and squeezed my hand once, quick and reassuring. It doesn't work that way, but you don't have to figure it all out today. After that first coffee, we started meeting twice a week. Sometimes just walks through Central Park, sometimes late dinners at quiet Italian places where no one knew us. Each conversation peeled back another layer of the wall I had built. Liam never pushed. He listened when I described the pressure for my parents to marry and give them grandkids, the way my dad still called me son, like it was a job title. One evening, as we sat on a bench watching the lights come on across the city, he said quietly, "I'm not asking you to leave her. I'm just saying you deserve to know who you really are before you promise forever to someone else." Those words stayed with me all night. The next morning, I canceled a lunch date with Sarah, claiming work overload. The guilt was crushing, but the relief of not having to fake another smile was stronger. Work started to suffer. My latest project, a sleek condo renovation in Manhattan, felt hollow. I kept sketching Liam's profile instead of floor plans. My best friend at the firm, Mike, noticed. "You okay, man? You look like you haven't slept in weeks." I brushed it off, but inside I wondered how long I could keep this up. Liam and I had moved from coffee to texts at midnight, sharing stupid memes and then deeper fears. He sent me a photo of himself at a pride parade years ago, smiling wide with rainbow paint on his cheeks. "This could be you someday," the caption read. I stared at it for an hour before deleting it, terrified Sarah would see. Yet every time I tried to pull away, the memory of that midnight kiss pulled me right back. 3 weeks after the kiss, Sarah showed up at my apartment unannounced with takeout, and that worried look I knew too well. "You've been distant, Ethan. Talk to me." We sat on the couch, the food growing cold while I searched for words that wouldn't destroy her. I told her work was crazy, that I needed time to think about the wedding. She cried quietly, and I held her, feeling like the worst person alive. That night, after she left, I called Liam. I almost told her everything. His voice was calm on the other end. "Do you want to? I'll be there if you do." We met the next day at the same cafe. This time the conversation turned to what came next. Liam suggested I see a therapist who specialized in these things. No pressure to label anything yet, just someone who won't judge. I made the appointment that afternoon. The sessions helped more than I expected. Dr. Ramirez listened without surprise when I described the kiss, the confusion, the years of pretending. Attraction isn't a choice, Ethan. How you respond to it is. Slowly, the shame I had carried since college started to crack. Liam and I kept meeting, our friendship deepening into something neither of us named. One Saturday, we took the ferry to Staten Island just to walk and talk. On the way back, as the city skyline glowed in the sunset, he said softly, "I'm falling for you, Ethan. But I won't be the reason you lose everything unless you choose it." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached for his hand under the railing, and he didn't let go until the dock. Sarah sensed the shift. She started asking questions about where I went at night. I lied again, saying I was meeting Mike for basketball. The guilt ate at me, but the joy I felt when Liam texted good morning made it impossible to stop. My parents called from Ohio, excited about the wedding venue they had scouted. "We can't wait to see you two start your life together," Mom said. I hung up and threw up in the bathroom. That evening I met Liam at his small apartment in Queens. We cooked pasta together, laughing over spilled sauce, and for the first time I let myself imagine a different future, one where I didn't have to hide. Mike found out by accident. He saw me leaving Liam's building one evening and confronted me at work the next day. "Dude, that guy from the bar? Are you?" I froze. The fear in my chest was instant. "Please don't tell anyone." Mike promised, but 2 days later Sarah called crying. "Mike said you've been seeing someone else. A man." The conversation that followed was the hardest of my life. I didn't deny it. I told her about the kiss, the months of talks, the feelings I could no longer bury. She screamed. She cried. She threw the engagement ring at me. All this time, I thought something was wrong with me. The door slammed behind her, and I sat on the floor of my apartment for hours, empty. Liam came over that night without being asked. He didn't try to fix it. He just sat with me while I cried for the life I had just blown up. "You're allowed to grieve," he whispered. The next weeks were hell. Sarah told her parents, who told mine. My phone blew up with missed calls from Ohio. Work became tense. Mike avoided eye contact in meetings. I threw myself into projects to stay busy, but every night I went home to silence. Liam was the only steady thing. We spent quiet evenings on his couch watching old movies, his arm around my shoulders, no pressure for more. One night he said, "I know this hurts like hell, but you're finally breathing for the first time." I believed him. My sister flew in from Cleveland to talk sense into me. We met at a diner near my office. "Mom and Dad are devastated, Ethan. They think you're going through a phase." I tried to explain the years of hiding, the constant fear. She left shaking her head. "This isn't you." The rejection stung worse than I expected. That weekend, Liam took me hiking upstate to clear my head. On a quiet trail overlooking the Hudson, he stopped and turned to me. "Whatever happens with your family, you've got me. And you've got yourself now." For the first time since the midnight kiss, I kissed him, this time on my own terms, slow and certain. The lowest point came when my father showed up at my door without warning. He looked older than I remembered, his face tight with anger and confusion. "Your mother can't stop crying. Is this some midlife crisis?" We sat at the kitchen table while he listed every reason this was wrong. The Bible verses, the family name, the grandkids they'd never have. I tried to stay calm, explaining it wasn't a choice, that I had fought it for years. He stood up, voice breaking. "I don't know who you are anymore." The door closed behind him, and I slid to the floor, sobbing harder than I had since childhood. Liam found me there an hour later. He held me through the night without saying a word. Work suffered next. A major client pulled out after hearing rumors from Sarah's circle. My boss called me in. "We support you, Ethan, but the optics," I offered my resignation. He refused it, but the writing was on the wall. I started applying elsewhere, each rejection feeling like another door slamming. Liam's photography studio became my safe place. He showed me his latest series, portraits of men who had come out later in life. "You're not alone in this story," he said, pointing to one image of a man, my age, smiling for the first time in years. I started volunteering at an LGBT youth center with him on weekends. Hearing those kids' stories gave me purpose I hadn't felt in years. Sarah sent the final divorce papers. We had never actually married, but the symbolism hurt. I signed them in Liam's kitchen while he made coffee. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. My sister texted a tentative olive branch. "I'm trying to understand." Small cracks of light started appearing in the darkness. Yet the internal battle raged on. Some nights I still woke up terrified. I had destroyed everything for a feeling I couldn't control. Liam never wavered. He simply reminded me, night after night, that living truthfully was the bravest thing I could do. 6 months after that midnight kiss, I stood on the same street corner where it had happened. The rain had returned, softer this time. Liam waited beside me, hand in mine. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. We walked to my parents' hotel. My mother opened the door first, eyes red. Dad stood behind her, arms crossed. I spoke for 20 minutes, voice steady, telling them everything, the fear, the hiding, the love I had found. Liam stood silently supportive. When I finished, Mom stepped forward and hugged me. "We don't understand it all yet, but we love you." Dad didn't hug me, but he shook Liam's hand. It wasn't perfect, but it was a beginning. Life didn't magically fix itself. I started a new job at a smaller firm that truly didn't care who I loved. My sister visited again, bringing photos of the family dog. Sarah found someone new and sent a polite text wishing me well. And Liam became home. We moved in together the following spring, turning his Queens apartment into a space filled with my sketches and his photographs. On our first anniversary of that rainy night, he proposed on the Brooklyn Bridge with a simple silver band. I said yes without hesitation. Looking back, that stranger's kiss wasn't the end of my old life. It was the beginning of the real one. The road had been painful, filled with lost relationships and sleepless nights, but every step led me here, to love without shame, to a family learning to accept, to a man who saw me before I could see myself. True or false? Living authentically is always worth the pain it causes to those around you.